Leaf Buzz B for $2 says Bill C2 will rejection more fake asylum claims.
That's a good perk. If it does that, that's good.
If it rejects fake asylum claims, that would be that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. But again, I'm pretty sure that's an existing power of the border security guys. Like,
yeah,
do your freaking job, right? Like the guy comes in, ask him a bunch of questions, like why are you coming here for? Well, I'm seeking asylum from Italy. Really? What did you do in Italy? If you're like some countries, to me, almost shouldn't even be on the asylum list, like Italy or France. Like if you're from, I'm coming from Ukraine. Okay, got it. I'm coming from Venezuela. Sure, maybe. But I mean, how many countries legitimately, how many people legitimately have an asylum claim? I'm running away from my country because I'm poor. That's an economic refugee. That's not asylum.
That's not asylum at all.
Now
the South African farmers, that's a legitimate claim.
Yeah,
and there are no neighboring countries that will take them on. I think for some of them, I think Belgium is an escape for them. For some of them, if they still have familial ties to like Holland and Belgium and these places, but that's a really bad situation.
Yeah, do your job. Like same thing, like that guy, or we know. I mean, you had Darshan on the show many times. We know, like, come on, man. Somebody showed us how a student in India can get an approval and a scholarship to come to study at a mini mall college in Saskatoon, like in 24 hours. Like when they show up at the border and somebody goes, "What are you doing here?" It's like, well, I'm going to the Acme School of it's like, dude, rejected, send him back.
Yeah, see you later.
Look, I've never found that statistic. I bet you that exists because we have an army of clerks collecting data. I wonder how many people are turned around at the border. Like, nice try, but you're not getting in. I don't think anybody's rejected. Like, from what I can tell, we let in pretty much anybody. Just like we don't keep too many people in jail. We seem to release everybody on bail and accept people who piss off the government. But anybody else.
So this is an interesting one. I just you reminded me of this. Conestoga College, which was making millions and millions of dollars off these mills, like milling out people with these fake degrees or whatever, is reportedly laying off staff and moving to a 4-day week as its international student recruitment drops by 95%. Oh man.
Like, that's not a business model, right? That's not an approved business model. Like, how are you going to make money? I'm going to make money off the backs of poor foreign students. That should not be, like, that should have been closed a long time ago. I have no pity for these people. None. Like,
no, but they've just found another way in. That's the thing. So that loophole closed, and they've just found some other backdoor in, and they're doing it still through the LMIAs and all these other things.
That was another example, right? If you got admitted to Canada on a student visa, you can't a year later say, well, I'm seeking asylum. But they're allowing that. They're allowing students to seek asylum after they fail to complete their, like, that's incompatible. Like, if you got into Canada on a student visa, technically you're not seeking asylum. You didn't come here seeking asylum the first time. So, yeah.
So the thing is, a lot of the times they'll go for the refugee claim, and then there's a process, and in the meantime they get to stay during that process. And I think for like permanent residency, it's like you have to be in the country for X amount of time, and then you can apply for permanent residency. So somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I do recall this during the process, because I had to go through the process for my wife's permanent residency. But after a certain amount of time, someone's in the country, they can then apply for permanent residency. And as soon as that permanent residency application is filed, they can stay. So the fake refugee thing is just a way to get an extension, because it's so backlogged. They get to stay a little while longer while it's like processing, and then they can, as soon as they reach the amount of time for the PR, they can just like forfeit that claim and then claim PR, which takes, wow, when me and my wife did it, it was like 2 years. And so then that grants them another 2 years to stay while that application is being processed. That's how crazy this whole system is.
Well, the only time I experienced any dealings with that process was I actually had an employee. I hired an employee from India who was an expert in doing hydraulic calculations when I worked for TransCanada. And then in his second year of being here, he failed to follow up. And then suddenly he got a phone call saying he was being deported back. I was like, holy shit, man. I went out to get this guy. We failed him a little bit. We got it all sorted out, but this guy had a legitimate job with us. Nobody else could do that job anywhere. We brought him in, and he's the first guy. And he got tagged by the border security saying, "You need to go back to India." I was like, "This is insane." Meanwhile, like we said, everybody else who's coming in through the back doors and doing all sorts of bullshit, they continue walking around for. So, like, you know, and that's you're saying exactly that. When you follow the law, it's more complicated. No wonder people don't follow the law, because there's no consequences to not following the law, but there's consequences to following the law. Isn't that nuts? Like, that's completely nuts. Completely nuts.
And I'm doing it legally now, right?
Yeah.
We're doing it legally now while my wife is getting her green card for the United States. And we've been waiting forever. We've been waiting for a year on this.
Yeah.
And we would be there right now.
You'd be there if you did it illegally, and nobody would care. Nobody would come knock on your door. But
you got to do it. Got to do it the right way, and it's taken forever. It sucks. Thanks for tuning in. This is actually a smaller clip from a larger conversation that took place on the channel. If you want to check that out, the link will be in the description down below. We'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.